Well, on kind of short notice, we all made it in time, but good evening, WNBA and women's basketball fans, and welcome into the WNBA 365 Network, your new and improved 24/7 365 comprehensive home for everything revolving around the WNBA and the women's basketball landscape. Back with the folks here. As you guys probably know, we took Friday off after what was a pretty horrible performance for us to kind of forget, but we're back here, hopefully with a better internet connection and hopefully a better effort than we had on Thursday. Good evening, folks. Alongside the starting lineup, as you guys know very well, of course, Eric Nemchot, the great writer, of course, from today's Fast Break over in Elmhurst, Illinois. And, of course, joining me, of course, in Los Angeles, of course, is Crystal Thomas and our court jester this evening, Tanisha Stewart, both up in Los Angeles. And, of course, Reagan Patrick joining us over in St. Louis, Missouri. Starting five, good evening, and how's the Monday been?
What's up, what's up?
Wow.
I'm happy because the Bears won.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Ready to get this show on the road.
Hi, it's been stressful. Life of a college student.
Yep. Yes, the college struggle is real, and yes, folks, for the first time I've had to mute someone in this hangout. Crystal, do not rub it in about the Bears, please. You and Parker get your CPK on Fig and 7th when I'm up there next time, but don't rub it in. I already know about how awful it was. It was so bad it put me to sleep in the third quarter, so no more about that. All right, guys, before we get to our important WNBA coverage, of course, tonight covering the Indiana Fever's 2015 season. Guys, wanted to kind of bring up, though, quickly with you guys, of course, as we know, again, with the college season right on the horizon, of course. That brought me to a quick point that once Friday starts, folks, we'll be starting our college coverage after Thursday, which we do finish our final season recap for the Liberty on Thursday. Obviously, we'll start with Shorty on this one because this was kind of a talking point I heard, I want to say on Friday and maybe all of Saturday from a few people on Twitter, which was about these college exhibition games. Now, again, as we've already talked about twice on the program, again, this is a transition year for women's college basketball at every level, going from the 2:20 format to the new 4 10-minute format of 10-minute four 10-minute quarters. And Shorty, I guess that there's been like a lot of I really don't want to say controversy, but just a lot of like an uproar, I guess, about these college exhibition games with all of these like lesser opponents. We're seeing, specifically the UConn game that finished almost 90-10. A couple nights ago at Gamble Pavilion. Now, Shorty, obviously, I know that we see this a lot in college sports, either baseball, more so, though, football and basketball, where bigger schools like UConn will pay these Division II programs or, other colleges, a lump sum of cash and money to basically, get their butts kicked on the court. But, there's kind of a fair trade, though. But, Shorty, what are your thoughts, though, about seeing these early exhibition games against, for one, probably schools you never heard of, but also, though, what does that kind of do, though, for these student athletes on these other schools that play these bigger schools and, that they sadly, take the punishment of those big lopsided games? What are your thoughts about these college warm-up games and why?
I mean, to be honest, I really don't see it as a big of a deal. Like, you called the games exhibition. I mean, that's what they are. I mean, regardless of the final score, I mean, it's just pretty much a practice game. So I'm not sure why everyone is getting up in arms. I mean, people are going to whine about a lot of things coming into the college season regardless of what goes down.
Reagan, Shorty just said it right, that people are going to, hoot and holler and riot and throw pissy fits about the smallest and stupidest things that'll happen during the college season. I'm not upset about these things, but I just though kind of find it, kind of odd, I guess, that you would play, a school that's not even, at your potential. I know firsthand at Point Loma Nazarene University where we always play San Diego State or we'll play USD every now and then. And, there's been times where we've gotten blown out or times where we've come close to winning. But, Reagan, is there really a value, though, in your mind as a former basketball player yourself? Is there really a value in these exhibition games where you see these bigger and better schools like UConn or Stanford play these, far lesser opponents, and, pretty much make a mockery of these other programs for exhibition purposes, though? What do you think?
I don't see what's wrong with it. like Shorty said, it's practice. It gives a coach time to like work on new plays that they're thinking about. It gives them time to let their freshmen get their feet wet and things like that. So I don't see why people are complaining. And plus, the smaller schools are getting paid a lot of money to come and play bigger schools just to get their butts kicked. So if that's what they want to do, then let them do it.
Crystal, you told me that Gino Ariema and the head coach of Vanguard University, a very big and well-known Division II program here in California, normally play an exhibition game every year because they're good friends, and also that UConn will send a pretty nice check to the Vanguard Athletic Department to play. I've seen, like I said, though, with PLNU, we've played SDSU many times, both men and women, and our women's team has come so close to beating them the past couple years, though, except they got blown out this year, sadly. The men have, been, ruled by 20. But Crystal, though, what are your thoughts, though, about kind of the uproar again of these exhibition games, for college basketball? Your thoughts and why?
Well, first I want to give a shout out to Russ Davis. I was supposed to go to Vanguard. Real nice guy. Like Reagan said, it's just exhibition. But both teams are kind of every team, whether big or small, has freshmen, and they're trying to figure out how they fit in the rotation, trying to figure out who to play who with. I mean, for UConn, it was just pretty much, like a day at the beach for them. But I don't think there's a problem with it. I think every team, just has to figure out what they're gonna do, big or small. Like Reagan said, it helps the athletics, and they pretty much get paid to play these big schools. And if anybody has a problem with it, they can just turn the TV off or change the channel. I don't see the concern with preseason games. I think it's good what they're doing.
Eric, obviously, you see the UConn game and 89-19. A 70-point victory for UConn over a school that I sadly have never heard of. I'm not trying to be rude to the people that may actually go to that university or are fans of that school. And I even saw Stanford blow out Academy of Art University, who's in the Pac-West Conference with Point Loma Nazarene University, and they got rolled by I think 40, maybe 50 points. So Eric, obviously, I guess that there's positives in regards to these exhibitions. Of course, getting it's everyone's first kind of game for the freshmen, and of course it's the seniors' last hurrah beginning, but also a chance to work on stuff against a different opponent as opposed to beating up your own players. But I don't see I really don't see what the dark side of the spectrum that everyone is causing uproar about these games finishing like they have. Obviously, yes, it's a bigger and better opponent beating a far lesser opponent, but there's many more plus signs, more so than subtraction signs, in my opinion, to these exhibition tune-ups. Eric, what are your thoughts, though, about these games and why?
I don't care, honestly. No, I mean, like people have been saying, like it's just. I think the word itself has people kind of ticked off, like the word exhibition, like we're exhibiting our power or whatever. But it's not. Just call it a scrimmage, because that's basically what it is. I mean, first of all, it's an exhibition. I didn't even see it. I had no interest in seeing it. So as an exhibition, they need to do a better job of exhibiting it, I guess you could say. Like, I really have no interest in seeing UConn blow out like a D2 school. That's not really on my wish list. But then again, watching UConn blow out the D1 schools really isn't on my wish list either. So I guess it's kind of like a college preseason, like they've been saying. Like Crystal and Shorty and Reagan have all said, it's basically just something to get them like a tune-up, and if teams have a problem with it, well, they can just like not accept to do it. I mean, I don't really see what the big deal is either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the uproar is either. I mean, yes, it's obviously a kind of a frightening score line. See a game end by 80. You think you're watching the Globetrotters play the Generals all over again in one of their games at your local arena somewhere. But at the same time, though, I mean, there's more value that I think seeing these games more than the negativity like everyone has been kind of bringing up lately. Specifically, I saw more so Friday before going to the workshop in Los Angeles, even on Saturday morning when people were talking about the UConn game, of course, that finished 89-19. Again, there's, I think that there's way more pluses, way more upside to a college exhibition, or as Eric said, a college scrimmage game. More so where you get to actually play against a different opponent, playing against your teammates and always, bumping into them and raising havoc with them, where you get to see a opposition for once, and obviously the scoreline may get out of control. But, there's way more upside, I think, than there is to one of those games, as opposed to what everyone's saying about, all the negativity, I guess, towards the entire towards the event. We can either take the folks on Twitter at WNBA365 or at any of us on Twitter. Your thoughts about the college exhibition games being out of control score-wise, and actually in your mind, is it a positive or negative for these exhibition games in your mind on the college ranks? Let us know on Twitter. We'll take your opinions throughout the entire course of the program. With that, though, guys, we'll move on to our next WNBA seasonal recap, the 2015 recap for the Indiana Fever, who this year were in a huge transition year following the retirement of legendary head coach Lynn Dunn. And in her first year, rookie head coach Stephanie White got a team all the way to the 2015 league final before running into a brick wall that was the Minnesota Lynx, you will talk about tomorrow night back here on the network. Shorty, starting with you, your final take about the Fever season. Of course, a few hurdles with battling a back problem. At the very end, though, they were the second to last team standing at the top of the mountain this year. Your thoughts on their 2015 campaign? Go for it.
So the Indiana team, yes, they did, promote former assistant coach, now head coach Steph White. Also, along with her, she brought in two assistants that Sparks fans should know very well, and that was Gail Gestenkorsen and Gary Kloppenberg to her coaching staff. And, coming into the season, there were so many questions about that new coaching staff. Steph, she came in and she changed the whole system entirely. She wanted this team to play a more up-tempo system. So, there were questions surrounding that and how would the team look under, the new system. But during the first month of the WNBA season, the Fever organization decided to honor the former late great Mount St. Joseph's player Lauryn Hill, who was a native of the Indianapolis area. So I thought it was great on the Fever organization to honor Lauryn Hill. And and continuing on with the season, for the Fever, it was pretty much up and down. They weren't necessarily bad, but they weren't really good either, which is why when they got into the playoffs, they shocked so many people. Eastern Conference semis shocked the Chicago Sky. I did not expect them to beat the Chicago Sky. On to the Eastern Conference Finals, shocked the Liberty, the number one team. We all certainly didn't expect that, but they got it done. And then on to the WNBA Finals, where they pushed the Minnesota Lynx to a long 5-game series. But when they got into Game 5, the most crucial game of the season, so many turnovers committed by the Indiana Fever, and they pretty much watched what could have been a championship slip through their fingers. So that's how the 2015 Fever season went down.
Hello to the roommate from St. Louis. Reagan, now we go to you now that you're next in line here. Shorty brought up, though, I think, though, that in every sport you have a Cinderella team that, no one expects. They're underdogs all year, and they seem to always get hot at the right time. You see that across the sports world, and they're so intriguing, so fun to watch. That was Chicago a few seasons ago, and then, of course, it was in. Reagan, final take, though, about the Fever's 2015 season, though. Go for it.
Okay, final take on the Indiana Fevers.
Go for it.
Anyways.
Well, hi, how are you?
I'm sorry.
We got extra co-hosts here.
Okay, final take on the season. I definitely think they were the Cinderella team of the WNBA. Like Shorty said, they shocked the Liberty and they shocked the Sky. And man, just from the season alone before the playoffs, I definitely didn't see Indiana making it. Yeah, I didn't see Indiana making the playoffs at all. So for them to shock everyone, I don't know. Hats off to Stephanie White for what she did. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, major props to Stephanie White, guiding a team with, some vets and, of course, some young guns. Crystal, your thoughts, though, about the Fever season? As we said, Cinderella teams are so fun to root for, whether it's in the tournament, whether it's in Any sport, they're always fun to watch and root for. Crystal, your take about the Fever's 2015 campaign? Go for it.
I mean, I think they ended up having an awesome season. I mean, like Reagan, I didn't expect them to even make it anywhere near the playoffs, let alone go as far as they did. Stephanie White did a great job for a rookie coach. You have to give her, like Reagan said, hats off to her. I don't know what she told their team, but they really bought into that system. And you see what happens when they bought into that system. They got 20 wins. I didn't even expect them to get 20 wins, but they did it. And, they were just very resilient. They fought hard. They didn't give up. They just kept on pushing. And that New York game is an example of it. They just did not give up, and look where they ended up going.
They went to bigger and better places for the 2015 campaign. Now, sadly, Eric, you got to witness it more so than we did. Of course, when the Fever took out the Chicago Sky in the playoffs this year. And Eric, I mean, with you being there, of course, you know pretty well how things, went, better than us in here. But Eric, though, your take though on that on this year's 2015 Fever team, go for it.
Well, first of all, it's not really that much of a surprise to me because it happens to the Sky every year, basically. The Fever beat them every year. That's no surprise to us. But they had a great season. I agree with. I kind of agree halfway. Heading into the season, I think not that many people expected the Fever to go that far. But a month or so into the season, I kind of looked at the team and I thought they've got something going here. They've got a lot of players who are really coming together nicely. Stephanie White did a great job of managing Catch's minutes. I think we've actually been over this topic before, but it just needs to be said again because she did such a great job of that. Managing your aging superstars' minutes is just so critical, especially when you make it to the Game 5 of the WNBA Finals, And just aside from that, she just did a great job of kind of transforming their identity, as we've said, of kind of going from that slower, grinded-out team under Lynn Dunn to a faster paced, up tempo, really quick ball movement, crisp offense, one of those types of teams, and it really paid off. Like in the first year, that's not easy to do.
Tanisha, I want to talk about Stephanie White now. She did a phenomenal job. She exceeded everyone's expectations, I think, for what they had set for Indiana this year. Of course, rookie head coach, filling the shoes of a WNBA and women's basketball legend in Lynn Dunn. And obviously, slow start out of the gate, of course, Catch with the back problem. And as Eric said, though, managing those minutes so well and so precisely, and again, guiding this team to a spot in the postseason again for I want to say at least the 11th or 12th straight year that they've been in the postseason. It's been a long, active streak for the Fever in the postseason. And, of course, getting past Chicago, hurtling over New York, and, of course, falling short, though, in the postseason. In the finals, I should say, against Minnesota in a very well and entertaining 5-game series that was played between those two squads. Tanisha, what would you say about the job that Stephanie White did, though, for the 2015 season in your mind?
I mean, I think she did a wonderful job. She did a wonderful job. I mean, like we just brought up, a rookie coach. Now, of course, she was a previous assistant, but to step into the head coaching ranks, I mean, it's a little bit different from being an assistant. But, I mean, she came in, she set, her own system, and, she got the team to buy in and execute it. I mean, she really helped improved a lot of players. I mean, I would say Marissa Coleman was definitely improved. I mean, she played great, and the team, they just bought in. And I think she had the kind of rookie season equivalent to what Sandy Brondello had the year prior with the Phoenix Mercury. So, like I said, she definitely came in and she took them all away. And, they had a great season despite losing in the finals.
Reagan, I'd say 9 times out of 10 normally coaching changes either go well or they, fall flat on their face. And this was one of those cases where it actually worked out well in spite of how the start was for Indiana at the beginning, of course. No Catch, again, with dealing with that back problem. But again, though, coming back, though, and leading this team, to the finals, to the promised land this year. Obviously, they'll falling short of their goal of winning the championship again for the second time in franchise history. But Reagan, though, your thoughts about the job well done by Stephanie White for the 2015 season?
Well, I think she did wonderful. I think she had the right mentor in front of her, Lynn Dunn, of course. She was a great coach, so I think she took a lot of tips from her. She learned a lot. I think she did exactly what an assistant coach is supposed to do under a great coach like that. And when it was her time, she stepped up and she proved that, she was paying attention to everything Lynn Dunn was doing and she was taking notes. And she just sort of put her own twist on it, though. Like you guys said, she picked up the speed a little bit and she was able to manage catches minutes. So I think she did a wonderful job.
Crystal, my favorite image or my favorite moment of the playoffs, in spite of it being against the team I was rooting for, was when Stephanie White, got up out of her chair and was pumping her fist and igniting the crowd after there was a charge called late in the fourth quarter of their great comeback in Game 2 at home versus New York, and to see the fire and energy come out of her when they were making this comeback, of course, and of course led by Catch in that fourth quarter with that ferocious comeback, trailing by so many points there, of course. That's the type of coach I would love to play for, someone that, of course, does their job, but also has the same fire and energy and will to win as much as her team does on the floor as well. Crystal, though, your thought on the job, though, that Stephanie White did, though, in her first season, though, as the full-time head coach for Indiana. Go for it.
I mean, I think she did well. It's never easy coming into something. In this case, it wasn't new because she was there, but it's still technically new because she put in her own system, her own, coaches, everything like that. So it's never easy transitioning from being an assistant to a head coach. And I think Lynn Dunn set her up really well for that. I think they set her up pretty well for the future. I think she did well. I mean, it's like I said, it's hard for a rookie coach to even to get as far as she did. I think she's the only rookie coach to ever get to the finals. So you got to give her hand claps and lollipops for that one because that's not easy.
Eric, I know that, as I said earlier, that you know more about the Eastern Conference than us folks that are LA fans or live on the West Coast, because you see it, day in and day out, and we, sadly we don't as much as we probably should. But Eric, though, seeing Stephanie White lead this team, when he saw them play at All-State or at UIC, though, your thoughts about the job that she did, again, as we already articulated, again, first-year coach, but again, though, taking this team with so much potential on it to the finals this year in her first season. What do you got?
I'm not really sure what I can say, what I haven't already said, but as we've reiterated again and again, she kind of transformed the whole identity of the Fever team very quickly. Especially considering she had a couple of new players too, really come in, and they kind of played without a real dominant center. Orlana Larkins, she's great, but she had a lot of injury problems over the course of the season. You had a Chanwa missing time because of the Canadian national team. So they were playing with this small lineup, which it was really effective. You had Catch and Coleman playing at the 4, which is one of the best small lineups, if not the best small lineup in the league. And but I think what people are missing is that they still forced. They were still the best team in the league as far as forcing turnovers goes. So they were still able to turn up the defense whenever they needed to, and a big part of that was Steph White calling the right defensive schemes, calling the right trap plays. She just has a great intuition for that sort of thing. And, again, obviously managing Catching's minutes, implementing the new system, just the growth that players like Shanice Johnson and Marissa Coleman showed under her in a single season. I mean, there's really not much more you can say about the job she did.
Tanisha, going back to you, of course, now we have to kind of talk about Tamika Catchings, of course, not just what she did for the season, though, Shorty, but, of course, though, what she's meant, though, for the Fever organization and the entire league, as a whole, with everything that she does on the court, of course, with her great play and being a fan favorite amongst everyone in the league, of course, and, of course, her great work as well off the floor as well with her foundation and doing so many things as well to try to improve the sport of women's basketball. Shorty, though, your thoughts on her 2015 season specifically, of course, dealing with that back problem, though, but again, though, coming back at full strength and, of course, putting this team on her back in the big moments in the postseason and again, guiding them to the finals this year. What can you say about her 2015 season?
I mean, yes. I mean, she dealt with back issues during the season. I mean, yes, but in the back issues attributed to her stats this year, I mean, her numbers were pretty much down, except for rebounding. She stayed consistent. This year, she only averaged 13.1 PPG, 7.1 rebounds, and 2 assists. But still, I mean, when the team needed her the most, I mean, she led and definitely led by example. Led by example, and to bring up, her organization this year, I mean, she received the Sports Humanitarian of the Year award, and because of that award, she received 75,000 to her organization. I think it's a great organization for Catch to be a part of. Not only do they provide basketball skills, but also educational skills to help the youth excel in life around the Indianapolis area. That's the thing about Catch. I mean, she loves giving back because she remembers the trials that she went through as a youth. Growing up, she had the hearing loss and had to wear a hearing aid. Also, she had a speech impediment that she had to deal with. So all those things that were in her way, she got through them, and she wanted to help others through her organization get through whatever they need to. But like I said, Catch is an amazing player. Everyone should love Catch. I think there should be a written law that no one is allowed to hate Catch. That's how amazing she is. But yeah, like I said, one of a kind player, and she's definitely going to be missed after the 2016 season.
I think that law is already in place, and Ms. Handgun, I think that all of us in here have a very, good amount of love and respect for Catch, which he's meant, of course, on and off the floor. Reagan, obviously, seeing Catch missing some time at the start of the season, but again, though, coming back and firing on all cylinders, and just seeing her will to win, that kind of, seeing her will and drive to win, though, kind of rubs off on the rest of the team, though, where you see, in spite of what the score may be, when she gets going, everyone follows the lead, I guess, is what I would say about that, though. But your overall take on her 2015 season as a whole?
Just piggybacking off of what Shorty said, yeah, her numbers went down, but if you think about it, she didn't really need to contribute that much this year. We have, when you have players like Marissa Coleman stepping up, I mean, let the younger people have their shine. You're really there just to lead your team and be a vet. Do what vets do. You don't have to score that much. You don't have to rebound that much. Just make sure you don't turn over the ball. That's my opinion, though. But what she's done for the league, I'm tearing up just thinking about her retiring next year. That's something I don't even want to think about. But she's been an awesome person. She's using her basketball platform for positive things. She's giving back to the community like someone of her caliber should be doing, someone in her position should be doing. She's just an amazing person, man. She's a great mentor, great person to look up to.
Crystal, we've talked about the person on the floor, the player on the floor. We talked about the person off the court, though, of course, with their foundation, and of course, being the president right now of the league's players' union, of course, frontlining that, and of course, which he's also meant as well to the entire league and to the sport in general, of course, with empowering it. And always, telling the other players in the league to continue to raise the bar and keep pushing forward and not to stop. Because we're going into the 20th season of the WNBA, and I was talking to my folks about this when I was going up to LA, stuck in Orange County traffic. Was my dad, who is not the biggest WNBA/WB ball fan, even said, for as many failed NFL type football leagues we had between the USFL, the WFL, and the European League, that the WNBA has lasted longer than football in some instances, really speaks volumes about not just the league, though, but the players that have come forward, and of course Catch is one of them. Crystal, your overall take on her season more so than anything else in general, what do you got?
Excuse me. I think her overall season, she played well. Unfortunately, it's the end of the rope for her after next season, but despite the injuries that she did have, she came back and played really well for her team. Like Reagan said, she didn't have to contribute. You had people like Marissa Coleman who's pretty much just having a great season. So she's overall a great person, like everybody has said. I haven't heard anyone really say anything bad about Tamika Catchings. Like Shorty said, it should be a law. I feel like if you don't like Tamika Catchings, you should get exiled from the league. but it's gonna be different, seeing the league without her. But she had a great season. She's overall a pretty good person, so I'm gonna miss her in the league as well.
Eric, just thinking about what Reagan and now what Crystal said, of course, I don't even want to think about the end of of next season when Catch does finally call it a career after, again, as what she's meant to the league as a whole and to the sport of women's basketball. And Eric, though, of course, with you seeing her more often than us out here on the West Coast, your overall take on her 2015 season and why?
Her 2015 season, like Shorty said, it was a down year for her statistically. But anybody who watched her play in person, they'll tell you that it was the same Tamika Catchings. I think, first of all, it's a testament to her will to win that she's still playing. I don't think anybody would think that it's really hard to continue playing professional sports at her age, let alone play at a high level. So, just watching her play on the court, she's such a competitor. I've never seen anything like that. Just her will to win, obviously, her intangibles. She's a great teammate, a great person. Obviously, I think with Catch, it's going to go down as not only is she's one of the best WNBA players ever, but it's always going to be more about just basketball with her. She's always going to have her foundation. She's always going to be involved in the players' union. I've even seen some people throwing around her name for the next WNBA presidents. That's kind of unlikely, I think, but it just shows the respect she has league-wide. That players, fans, coaches, all alike. She's kind of transcendent. She's on a level of her own when it comes to all that.
Guys, not many athletes can earn the respect of an entire team or an entire league for that matter. Obviously I can think of a few off the top of my head who've earned the respect of either a franchise or a city or even a league, famously, of course, in San Diego between Tony Gwynn and Junior Seau, the two guys that you see every night on my wall here. They've meant so much to my city, of course, with Tony Gwynn playing his entire 20-year career with the Padres, meaning so much to San Diego as a sporting icon and also as a kind of that father figure almost is what he meant, though, with his foundation and, of course, playing his whole career. And, of course, Junior Seau meant a lot as well to the San Diego community. And I know that there's probably others that you guys may think of as well. But, Tamika Catchings belongs on that list, though, of people, that, get the respect or have earned the respect of everyone across the sport and across the league as well. And, it was just, to name a few of them. Now, folks, you guys may know we did reach out to Indiana Fever player Lasia Clarendon to possibly join us on the program. We talked about the Fever, but sadly, Lasia is now in New York today, and she's now actually interning over the offseason with the Players Tribune. And Shorty, we know that we had reached out to her, Sally, and it would have been nice to kind of have her on, but kind of bad timing, I guess, on my part and also on her part as well with her internship as well. But Shorty, though, I'm sure that all of us in here probably follow Lasia on Twitter. If you guys don't, it's probably a good follow because Tanisha, she really uses her platform, I guess, on social media to really, speak up what she believes, and she's probably like one of the few players that actually does that, I guess, is what I would say about that. Obviously, she's a good player on the court, but also, though, more so taking it upon herself to kind of, not only help out the women's basketball and the WNBA, but also trying to help out her own people as well and her own causes. Tanisha, any thoughts, I guess, about Lasia's, social platform, I guess, because, it's really, good to hear what she has to say on social media. What do you think?
I definitely do think she's using her platform to bring great awareness to LGBT issues, most definitely. She's definitely been vocal on a lot of things, a lot of issues. I remember when I say maybe 2 years back, she talked about and she congratulated, the state of California when they first passed, they raised the legal ban on gay marriage, and then, of course, they eventually made it legal throughout the entire U.S., but, during that whole ordeal, she definitely spoke up, and she congratulated the state of California, where I think, if I'm not mistaken, she was born here anyway, but she definitely is a great advocate for the issues. I recall sharing an article earlier this week, or at least last week, with Crystal when she talked about what happened during that whole Pride initiative that the WNBA had brought up. Now, even though in front of everyone, it looked like a great initiative. But what happened behind the scenes was quickly, a few of the players complained about wearing the Pride T-shirts during a day game versus Indiana. And all of a sudden, before game time happened, they ended up pulling the shirts, from game time activity, and they weren't allowed to wear them. So she brought awareness to that, because I definitely didn't know that happened, but she, brought awareness to that. So she's definitely doing great things with the platform that she has.
Reagan, obviously, other than you drawing tattoo ideas for yourself for the next couple of weeks, perhaps, for all that I know, obviously, before LGBT awareness or the LGBT movement was actually enacted by Congress, a couple months ago, there really was no platform for anyone who was gay or lesbian to really voice their opinion. And of course, I remember when Robbie Rogers, who's now playing MLS soccer for the LA Galaxy, was the first openly gay athlete across any sport to reveal that he was gay. Kind of the mixed bag of reaction from the American public, of course, was, one-sided as well. But obviously, Reagan, though, any thoughts about, about seeing Laysia be so very, outgoing, for, other issues that I guess kind of have to be addressed, and of course, as well with the sport which she does play as well, and also with her being a LGBT advocate. Your thoughts?
That was a lot. I think, like I said about Ketch, I think she's doing the same thing. She's using the voice that she has and the platform that she has to speak about issues that people need to hear. And I think the issues that she is most passionate about are the issues that people are most uncomfortable with. The article that Shorty was talking about, I do remember reading that, and it was weird to me, because these people play with people who are part of the LGBT community, but yet they didn't want to wear the Pride shirt. So I don't know. I guess it's just me that thought, well, hey, are you not supporting your teammates and things like that? But I think it's a great thing that she's, speaking out with the voice that she has.
Crystal, like I brought up again, initially before everything was approved, of course, by the hierarchy of U.S. government, of course, that, again, there was really no way, shape, form, or size for anyone that may have, have had gay and that was gay and or lesbian, again, to really voice their opinion about what was occurring. And of course, again, Robbie Rogers, again, who's now playing again for the LA Galaxy of Major League Soccer, one of the first openly public gay athletes to come out and say that he was gay. Again, that mixed reaction, I guess, by the general public. And again, Crystal, now again that you see an athlete using her voice towards something that she really cares about, whether it's, all of us with our Twitter commentary about, either us or about the sport of women's basketball, we're entitled to that type of an opinion. But I guess, Crystal, though, your thoughts about Laysia, again, using all the social platforms, again, to really, raise awareness, I guess, about the LGBT movement in your mind?
I mean, I love that she's using the platform. You have a lot of athletes who have a platform like she has, but they don't use it for anything good, pretty much. And I'm glad that she's speaking out against the LGBT, well, not speaking out, but speaking for. Let me rephrase that. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I'm glad that she's speaking for the LGBT community, because there's not that many, I guess, athletes that are brave enough to do what she does, and I commend her for that. And also, like the article Shorty was saying, it is weird. I agree with Reagan. Why wouldn't you want to support your teammates? Whether it is, if you believe that or not, you're entitled for your own beliefs. But I feel like as a team, we should come together as a unit to support whatever it is that your teammate is. And like Reagan was saying, there's a lot of people in the league that are part of that community. So why not embrace them and love them like you would if you were in that community. So I appreciate everything Laysia's doing. I think it's cool. Laysia's all right with me. Laysia's cool with me, and I feel like she's also working for when she retires, so she has something else to do other than just being an ex-athlete. I like to call them athletes, the one that sit at home and get fat, pretty much. So I'm glad she has a platform to do what she does.
Eric, we know that you're, kind of a big advocate as well for the league-wide initiative of the LGBT Pride awareness, and of course the Pride Night games that we've seen across the league in general. Of course, I was at the one when LA had hosted Phoenix back in July of this year, and again, we know that you're a really big supporter of it. And obviously now, and Eric, obviously now that we have a player that's kind of the voice for the league about this entire campaign now, and again using the platforms that we had already brought up again to use it to voice out about it, or voice for it, I should say. What does that say in your mind about what Laysia may be doing, during and then post her career, perhaps? What do you think and why?
Laysia's more than cool with me. She's a rock star to me. What she's doing is so incredibly important, not just for the league, but for athletes everywhere. I believe when we talked about Laurel Richie's legacy, I said she's going to go down as the one who kind of initiated the whole LGBT in sports movement. But at the same time, you need an athlete who's currently playing to kind of spearhead that whole thing. And Laysia's just taking it upon herself to do that. And people keep mentioning the article in the Players Tribune. For whoever's watching the show, you need to read it. It's called Keeping the Faith by Laysia Clarendon on the Players Tribune. And it's just, there are so many things that I think people don't realize happen off the court. And you really kind of need a player who can kind of put those into words and explain what's going on. Because, obviously the players who they weren't named, which I think is kind of a good thing, because you don't really need to stir up any more controversy. Because I think, do you guys remember the Sophia Young thing back in 2013 when she was publicly against gay marriage? I just remember thinking at the time, you're aware that you play in the WNBA, right? You know who your teammates are, you know who your colleagues are. Where is the respect for that? But that's a whole different tangent. Yeah, Laysia, she's incredible. I really respect her a lot. And yes, this is definitely something that's going to go on past her WNBA career, because this is going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time for the LGBT community to get the rights and the respect they deserve. So she's going to keep going at it. She's going to stay at it, I think, for the rest of her career and considerably afterwards. And I'm just proud to call myself a fan.
Yeah, I think all of us in here are, proud to call ourselves fans of a sport. And Shorty, Eric, you guys all brought up the article written in the Players Tribune. And Shorty, I actually wanted to kind of talk about the Players Tribune as a whole, I guess. Of course, it's giving players across the sports world a voice for themselves to write, personal blogs. I first read the Players Tribune after Steve Nash announced his formal retirement from the NBA back in October of last year. And then afterwards, of course, you saw the articles. Of course, Derek Jeter, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, one of my favorites as well, of course, spearheading the Players Tribune movement, you can kind of say, starting that website up. But Shorty, though, what it's done for the WNBA, though, I mean, they had a season-wide little behind-the-scenes, backstage kind of running story with the New York Liberty this year, tracking them from game to game, and of course off time during the postseason. Of course, their trip to Six Flags, and of course it's been used by Laysia Clarendon, of course, to talk about her LGBT awareness, I guess, and of course a story written by Candace Wiggins earlier in the season, of course, about her career kind of coming full circle, about her ripping her Achilles at Madison Square Garden. Now here she was playing with New York this previous season. Shorty, in your mind, I know that we are trying to find ways to improve the WNBA in the media, at least on the positive side, not for altercations off the court with family and friends or whatnot. But Shorty, what has the Players Tribune in your mind though really done though for the WNBA for this past season, at least in your mind, going forward?
I think it gives the players a voice. And that's something that, the players in the WNBA need. They need a voice and to tell their stories from their own perspective, not from news and gossip publications like TMZ, no disrespect, but, the WNBA players, they need a voice to, tell their side and, tell things from their perspective. I recall Essence Carson also written an article in the Players Tribune. So did Maya Moore. So I like that it's giving them a platform to, let people know how they feel and what's on their mind versus letting the media write the narratives for them.
Reagan, as I tweeted earlier again, I admire the coverage that the Liberty had received in the Tribune this season. Again, going from game to game, their off day at Six Flags and throughout the postseason. Again, I tweeted out earlier that Candace Wiggins has had the best story for their sub story. But again, I may be a bit biased, perhaps, as you guys may know. But again, though, as we talk about, though, I mean, it gives these players their own voice again. And as Shorty said, they're not under the microscope of regular media, and of course as well with TMZ covering all the negative sides of the WNBA stories again. So, Reagan, in your mind though, what has the Players Tribune though done for the league as a whole with their coverage of the Liberty and also of the entire season as well?
Well, for one, it gives them it's more advertisement for the league. Yeah, it's more advertisement for the league. Just gets the league's name out there a little bit more. But also, I think it gives the fans of the league more input in the players' lives. Like, I think it reminds them that the players are still human. Like, they have a life outside of sports. And it just takes them into their life outside of the court. So I think that's pretty cool for the fans to get to know the players a little bit more. So.
Crystal, as you heard me say again, I didn't really start reading the Tribune again until I read Steve Nash's formal retirement letter in October of last year on the Tribune. And again, I've read other stories written by other players. But also, though, between the coverage from the Liberty and, again, reading the stories, again, that Candace Wiggins had wrote, of course, my favorite out of all of them. But again, though, just, reading some of them, though, between either Candace's personal story that I, had known of plenty of times, but even some of the other ones, though, where, one player had to go home and, like triple lock her door because she was under scrutiny from a lot of people in the area she was living in and a lot of other things that, you wouldn't hear anywhere else but on the Tribune. So, Crystal, in your mind, though, what has it done, though, for, players of not just the WNBA but for sports in general in your mind?
I mean, I think it's good. It lets athletes talk about their selves and their stories through their own writing and nothing else. You don't have to worry about misquotes. You don't have to worry about misprints or anything. It's coming straight from the horse's mouth. It's coming from them. Who knows more about themselves than themselves? And I think, like Reagan said, it's really good. It helps the league a lot, especially when you talk about the WNBA players, like you said, the Liberty, and in this case, Lasia and a few others. So I think it's great. I would love to see more. A lot of those stories are interesting. And, like I said, who knows the athlete more than they know themselves?
Eric, I don't want to brag, but I think other than us and this Hangout and this YouTube channel, that the Players Tribune is probably the only other place that really had solid WNBA coverage this past season because of what we've done, of course, with the rebrand and so on and so forth. But again, though, the Players Tribune, of course, giving the players, again, that's why it's called the Players Tribune, again, giving the players their own voice to write their own stories. And again, between me reading Steve Nash's retirement letter and, of course, some other stories, and, of course, with everything with the Liberty, Candace Wiggins, so on and so forth, right on your mind, though, how has the Players Tribune really benefited the players of the sports world, but also strictly the athletes and players in the WNBA in your mind?
Well, Reagan kind of stole my thought here, but she said it gives the players a voice, and it gets across the message that, hey, they're humans too. They're not robots. They're people with their own stories. They've gone through their own struggles. They've got their own stories to tell. And like Shorty said, it's told by the players. It's not told by some media person. We don't have like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless going over here. Embrace debate. We're going to fabricate fake debate stories for an hour just to get people talking. No, it's quality stuff. It's coming straight from the horse's mouth. It's coming straight from the players. And what else would you want to read besides that? Like, that's as good as you can get for sports media. Stuff from the players themselves. And it's just so genuine. It's so pure. Just a terrific form of journalism, and I hope it keeps going for a long time.
Shorty, I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't want to put any of you guys on the spot, but I kind of will here just before we move on to our next topic here, Shorty. If you had one favorite story written over the WNBA season from the Players Tribune, which one would you choose and why?
Off the top of my head, I would say Laysia's story. Laysia Clarendon's story, hands down, because she just went into complete detail about, what she went through, from earlier on in her childhood, discovering her sexuality and, wanting to come out to, family members and things like that. And it was kind of tough. And then dealing with her sexuality throughout college, and then the pros where, the whole T-shirt ordeal happened. But I'd say Lacia's.
Reagan, out of all the player shooting stories written about the WNBA by players or just in general, favorite story on the player shooting for the WNBA is what?
I'm gonna be basic, and I'm gonna agree with Shorty. Just, I mean, like she said, she just was so real about it, and she goes into a lot of details, things that we just didn't know, and I just found it really, really interesting.
Crystal, favorite story that you read on the Players Tribune during the 2015 WNBA season was what and why?
Mine. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's gonna be a three-way sweep. I'm gonna say Malaysia. I mean, it's not easy writing something like that, and she didn't have to tell us, the readers, about her life experience, but I appreciate that she did. It lets you know how strong she is, and it lets you know, the difficulties she had to reach and where she is now. So I would have to say Malaysia's.
Okay, Eric, for the Family Feud clean sweep of the board and the $20,000 for fast money, will you say Malaysia's story is your favorite in the Players Tribune, or will you go another way? Which one's your favorite and why?
Man, you're putting a lot of pressure on me here. Yeah, that one is my favorite. I'll just say that's my favorite. I think you kind of expected me to say Elena Deladon's story, but I kind of knew most of that already. Although I have to say, I really do like Sugar Rogers' story as well. She was the one who had to triple lock her door because she's still experiencing a lot of anxiety because of the years she growing up in poverty and all that. And that's another thing that people don't realize. I mean, they may realize it, but it's not. When you're watching these players play basketball, you're not thinking about them growing up in poverty or dealing with persecution over their sexual orientation. You're just watching them to play basketball. But once again, just the platform it gives the players to speak out on, it's invaluable. They're all great.
Yeah, Eric, Sugar's name eluded me, sadly. Jigsaw memory on a Monday night. But, I would agree, though, in this instance, so that, Sugar Rogers' story was a real eye-opener because, as Eric kind of said, though, but, guys, that's why the Players Tribune is so good because we don't know what goes on in these players' personal lives. Sugar sharing that story, not only for one, was very scary, just reading about the upbringing, but also, that she still to this day, though, is still that way, though, and frankly, who could blame her? That was a real eye-opener, and of course, between Candace Wiggins, of course, but that's, as Steven Tyler would say if he was in my room here, same old song and dance, knowing about all that as well with, the personal connection between us two as well. And even Elena Deladon's story was great, but I think, though, too, that even when Maya Moore wrote about, trying to establish a form of identity for the league as well going forward, and her story was great as well with the Players Tribune as well. With that, guys, we'll get to our final topic of the evening here, which will begin our college coverage on Friday. Now, folks, it's going to be happening on Friday. For the first time in network history, the other four people in here get the Twitter password to update you folks on top 25 coverage, depending on our work schedule, of course. Now, Friday for me is going to be. So we will also talk about this off here momentarily. But again, folks, we'll be having a show dedicated entirely to the college game starting on Friday. Again, Thursday we'll be wrapping up our WNBA coverage for now. But then once Friday does start, though, we will be having some new programming beginning on Friday, as well with the college coverage between scores and also a show some of the listeners talking about the big college news. Okay, Shorty, so obviously for the first time ever, I'm going to let go of the Twitter password for you guys, for one, but also, though, a good chance, though, to finally talk some college basketball for once and talk about the future talent of the WNBA and even overseas play coming up shortly. Shorty, are you ready for Friday? And also, any thoughts, though, about the college season in your mind going forward? What do you think?
I mean, I'm definitely ready for the college season to come back. Definitely. I mean, it's Breanna Stewart's, final years, her senior years. So, of course, that'll be one of the major headlines. And then South Carolina, most definitely. And I'm low-key somewhat interested to see what's going to happen to UNC post everything that happened. But, of course, I definitely want to see my home team, which would be Stanford. So, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
You and Wiggs would get along very, very well, but we won't go there right now. Okay, Reagan. So obviously we're starting off college coverage on Friday, but also, again, between you guys getting the password for Twitter. What are your thoughts, though, on opening day for women's college hoops on Friday?
I am excited with a capital E, and the rest of the letters capitalized too. But I'm very excited. I live for college women's basketball. I think I may love it more than I love the WNBA, and that's a surprise to a lot of people. But if you follow me on Twitter, then you know who I cheer for. Not even gonna say it right now because me and some of the members may have some issues later on. But
No Irish.
No issues.
I'm excited to see how everything turns out. Yeah, I'm just excited.
So, Crystal, we've got, instead of Dick Vitale, it's awesome, baby, with a capital A. We have excitement with a capital E, and nothing else included with it. But other than, of course, us tweeting out live scores on Friday, kind of getting our feet ready, our feet wet for the 2016 WNBA season, we all get to do the same exact thing on Twitter, but also between our college coverage. How excited with a capital E are you for the college season coming up on Friday? I'm
ready and excited. I can start singing in the hangout.
That's not.
But I won't. But I am. I'm really excited. This actually, you know what? This is perfect timing. I'm actually working on my own personal top 10 list for teams that I think you should watch in college. And Reagan, I don't have a problem with Notre Dame, but you're probably not gonna be happy where they're on my list. They're on my list, but they're probably not as high as you want them to be. But I'm excited, and I can understand where Reagan's coming from when she's saying she likes college basketball more than WNBA. I can get that because there's something about women's college basketball is like they're playing a lot hard. I shouldn't say a lot harder because a lot of the women in the league play hard too. But it's like you can see a different kind of passion in these players' eyes. Like it's like I can't explain it, but I can understand where Reagan's coming from, and I'm ready. College basketball season equals upset season. So I'm ready to see what happens. I must say, I'm still rooting for Don Staley deep down in my heart, but I know, I in my mind, I know what's gonna happen. Season hasn't started yet, but everybody knows. But I'm excited.
Now, Eric, we're not sure if you're not a big college guy or an overseas guy, maybe an overseas guy, perhaps. Like I said, they're losing my train of thought here on a Monday night. But Eric, though, obviously between getting the Twitter password and plus us tweeting up the live scores, though, how excited are you for the college season? Also, to kind of get college coverage started here on the network, though, on Friday as well.
Yeah, college season, I'm excited with a capital E. Twitter password, I'm excited with the lowercase e. I think, 2 accounts. I have enough. I might play with 1 Twitter account, but yeah, bring it on. More basketball for me. Yeah, college. I'm not as big on college as I am the pros, but last season is where I really started to watch college a lot more. I'm kind of a Big Ten guy. I get the Big Ten Network. That's the only really college channel I get. So. Mm-hmm. Those are the teams I follow, so I'm going to have to wait a few more weeks for the Big Ten play to start, I believe. But, yeah, it's just one step closer, finding all the draft prospects for next year's WNBA draft, watching some more hoops, one step closer to March Madness. I'm ready.
Yeah, we're all ready, and we're gonna use that now, Reagan, as a new thing. Instead of saying awesome with a capital A, it's now excited with a capital E, and in Eric's case, Twitter password E with E in lowercase. So yeah, but again, folks, what will be happening again is we will all be assigned to a specific game or 2 games at least on a given night. Again, this will depend though on our schedules, though, obviously with home and/or school. And whatever else may be, occurring in our lives perhaps as well. But again, though, we'll be having live Twitter score updates you guys probably saw that I was doing during the WNBA season, of course, with the scores and so on and so forth. We'll have all that for you folks as well during the college season. And again, our college coverage begins on Friday night, sometime on Friday, and we'll carry over as well. Beginning next Monday as well. But again, it will depend, though, too, on what games we can actually get on our television providers. I know that out here, at least on my side of the story in AT&T U-verse in San Diego, I've got Big Ten, the Pac-12, and, of course, ESPN across the board and FS1 as well. And some of the local stations will show some college hoops as well. But with that, though, folks, we have run out of time for this Monday edition of the program. So until tomorrow night, folks, we recap the 2015 season for the champs, the Minnesota Lynx, tomorrow night. Until then, please have a safe night. Drive home safely. Thanks for stopping by and joining us, and good night now. This has been the WNBA 365 Network. We have a WNBA and covering anything and everything covering the WNBA and the women's basketball universe. Until tomorrow night, folks, for Eric Nemchuk over in Elmhurst, Illinois, Reagan Patrick in St. Louis tonight, and, of course, the three people in Southern California, Crystal and Shorty up in Los Angeles, and, of course, Counselor back in San Diego. See you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.